Hey everyone, welcome to Tim's Vinyl Confessions. I'm Tim Derling. Thank you so much for watching. Thanks for subscribing and sharing the videos too. That helps me in so many ways. Costs nothing to hit subscribe. If you've been watching for a long time and haven't subscribed, just hit that subscribe button. Thank you. It doesn't cost a thing. Doesn't mean put anything on anybody who does it, but it helps me a lot to show YouTube that I get a lot of subscribers. So I know a lot of channels have this where you get a lot of people watching, but not many people subscribing, or the percentage is off. But yeah, if you like what I'm doing, please hit subscribe. I appreciate it. On this episode, it's an update of my Toto vinyl collection. I've gotten a lot of things since the last time I did one of these, so I thought it was time to update. Don't quite have everything on vinyl. Some of the later stuff, some of the 90s stuff is very, very expensive on vinyl, but I'll show you what I do have. Start off, of course, with the debut from 1978. Self-titled. Great album. How could it not have been a great album with the experience of these guys? Looking very business suit, leisurely, late 70s in that photo. There's the lyrics and the usual Columbia label. I'm guessing a US version of this wouldn't have looked that different. Next up, 1979, second album. They stretched out a lot on this album, but I really admire them for doing it, even though it didn't do half the business of the debut. Hydra. This is the closest thing I think that Toto came to doing a full-on prog rock album, even though it's not really all that proggy. It's more in the lyrical department that it's a little bit different, and I always used to think that was Steve Lukather, but it's not. You can see the videos from this album, and they kind of bring that to life. But yeah, they went all out. It's a gatefold, and this is a Canadian version. Now, I will say that the lyrics are handwritten, and they're kind of hard to read. Not impossible, but I would have preferred just regular writing. Maybe you've done the song titles, in writing and handwriting, but yeah, it's not the easiest thing to read. And because the first album was such a success, they got a personalized label, just using the sword or whatever from the first album. So there you go. And I have a single from this too, just using the album art. This is actually a Spanish single to 99 with the song Hydra as the B-side. And that's the flip side of that. It comes out the side instead of the top, which is what most singles do in North America. So instead of saying Columbia, it says CBS, but it looks just the same, and it's got the Columbia logo. Pretty cool. Next up is an underrated album. Did not sell. To this day, I don't even think it's certified gold. I don't even think it sold 1 million copies worldwide, but I like it. It's a fairly rocking album. Turn Back, 1981. I've said time and time again how I love the simplicity of this art, but it probably doesn't hurt that I like the album too. Because if I didn't like the album, I'd be like, that's a dumb cover. It's just got 8 songs on it, but really good. Maybe no obvious singles, although I think there are some catchy songs on here, like Live for Today, and Think I Could Stand You Forever. But yeah, some good rockers on here. English Eyes, Gift of the Golden Gun. Really like it. And still with personalization on the label. Next up, of course, is the big album for Toto. Toto 4, 1982. I always like these kind of photos of the guys hard at work or relaxing in between. Yeah, it'd be a great album, obviously. And this shot's kind of cool. I always liked that you could look at Jeff Porcaro's bass drum, and it's got the turn back cover on it. I always thought that was kind of cool. That's like when Roger Taylor had his face on the bass drum, like that too. A lot of collage of pictures. There are no lyrics actually, which some of the I'm sure to this day there are people that, well, I'm not sure I know all the lyrics to Africa, for example, but anyway. No personalized label this time. They were under the gun from the label, and I don't think they were going to spend a lot of money on them, but, because they just got a pretty standard Columbia House label here. There's hair everywhere here. It's called Having Pets. I got one of the singles from this album as a picture sleeve. Just using the cover art, I Won't Hold You Back with Afraid of Love on the B-side, a couple of Steve Lukather tunes. And it's actually got some, liner notes, which I don't think I've ever seen on a single before, but it's talking about the Grammy wins. This was the final single, I think, from Toto 4, so they were able to recap a little bit. And typical Columbia look to the single itself. Now, I still don't have the Dune soundtrack on vinyl. I'm still looking to find an original Polydor version of that. I'll get it eventually. But also in 1984, my personal favorite of the Toto albums, Isolation, which I have as a picture disc. This was a Riverview Record Expo pickup a few years ago. I love this album. I should probably get a standard version too, but you don't see it all that much. The band as it was at that time. And I also have the single from one of my favorite songs from Toto and from that album, Stranger in Town. This is US 45. And the single itself, usual Columbia, Change of Heart is the B-side. 1986, the first album with Joseph Williams is Fahrenheit. This is a Canadian version. Very glossy finish to this. This album went gold, but it took about 8 years. And there's the probably missing a lyric sleeve. In fact, I know it is because the CD has the lyrics. I do have a single from the album, and it comes from a classic Canadian department store, Zellers. As you can see by that price tag, I'll Be Over You, the big hit from this album. Same front cover and same band photos from the back cover. So the flip side of I'll Be Over You is In a Word, which didn't end up on a Toto album until they put out the Toto 20 or Toto XX in 1997. Not a bad song. Pretty cool. They had a few B-sides that were like that. 1988, this was, I'd been looking for this one for a long time, and this was another Expo find. The seventh one. This is, I can understand why a lot of people call this their favorite Toto album, because it is really, really good, really strong. This is a Canadian version. This one's got the lyric sleeve. And looks like that. In 1990, Toto fans will know that they put out this best of called Past to Present, 1977 to 1990. It had 4 new songs on it. I don't like any of the songs, and I'll leave it at that. I do have a single from that. It did come out on vinyl, but I don't have the vinyl version of the comp. But I do have a single from it, Love Has the Power. That's a cool cover. That's probably the best thing it's got going for it. But what's cool about this single is that the B-side is the 7th one, which is a hidden song on the 7th one album. I remember when I first heard the cassette, after, what's the last song on Home of the Brave, I think. It kept playing, and then this other song starts up, and it's kind of an instrumental with some scatting, I think, from Joseph Williams. He just kind of says the 7th one, and we'll go around the world or something like that, but it's on here, which is kind of cool. This is actually from the UK, because there weren't a lot of vinyl singles. There wasn't a lot of vinyl coming out. I do remember seeing this on cassette single, and this is what it looked like by this time. We're going to jump ahead a bunch of years now to 2018. This is the Toto cover of Weezer's Hash Pipe. Weezer called, Toto replied, because Weezer had a big hit with their cover of Africa, which is good for Toto, of course. Definitely good for David Paich, the writer. I like the Toto version of Hash Pipe. I wish it had ended up on a CD, but at least it's physical, not just air. And also in 2018, Sony puts out a really good, probably Toto up until this point really hadn't been served too well by a really good, solid anthology, except the 2-disc version of the Essential Toto. That's pretty good. But 2018, we've got 40 Trips Around the Sun, and this is a really good compilation with 3 new songs on it, which would also appear elsewhere, but yeah, that was really good. And then I did a review of this when it came out as a quote-unquote new Toto album. The all-in box set contained all of Toto's recordings and then some unreleased stuff, and thankfully they put the unreleased stuff out on its own as Old is New. And the 3 songs that appeared on 40 Trips Around the Sun, Alone, Spanish Sea, and Struck by Lightning all appear here. Really good stuff on here, really strong. And I don't have, that's all the Toto vinyl I have. Steve Lukather put out his album Bridges a couple years ago, which is pretty much a Toto album in all but name. I only have that on CD. But what are your favorite Toto albums, Toto songs? Want to hear from the fans out there. Don't forget my books on sale, or not on sale, but they're available through Amazon. And try to keep the price point pretty good. The link to buy those below. That helps support the channel as well. If you want to wear some merch with TBC stuff on it, check out our page on TeePublic, and that will be down below as well. So, that's about it for this episode. I want to thank everyone for watching Tim's Vinyl Confessions.